Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Nurul Nabila binti Muhammad Mahathir and my metric number is 298612. Today I will present on the introduction of testing system artifact for this project. For the introduction to the testing system artifact, the testing system artifact used in this project is the Automation Exercise website. This system is a web-based e-commerce simulation that mimics real online shopping system. It includes common e-commerce features such as user registration, login, product browsing, cart management, and checkout. Because it stimulates real online shopping behavior, it is very suitable for testing how users interact with the application. The Automation Exercise website also supports both manual and automated testing, allowing different testing approaches to be applied. In addition, it provides a safe environment for QA practice, since it is a demo system and does not involve real user or real data or real business transaction. Therefore, this system artifact is highly suitable for learning, practicing, and demonstrating both manual testing and automated testing techniques. The Automation Exercise website was selected because it covers multiple user journey and provides various input fields that are suitable for validation testing and using automation tools. Scope of the testing system artifact. The testing in this project focuses on front-end functional features of the system. The features that were tested include the sign up, login, search, subscription, checkout, payment, review, and contact us. These features were tested to ensure that they behave correctly when users provide both valid and invalid input. However, some features were not tested, such as back-end processing, API integration, payment gateway functionality, and performance testing. These components were excluded because they are outside of the scope of this project. This is because testing approach used is the black box functional testing, which focus only on the system behavior from user perspective without accessing the internal code or back-end logic. Testing objective of the system artifact. The main objective of testing this system was to ensure that the application responds correctly to user input. This means that valid input should be accepted while invalid input should be rejected with appropriate error message or system feedback. Another objective was to detect functional defects, particularly related to input validation and system response. By identifying this defect early, potential issues can be prevented before the system is used in real environment. Overall, this testing objective help to improve user experience, data integrity, and system reliability in real-world application. Testing approach applied. A black box testing approach was used in this project. This means that the internal code of the system was not examined during the testing. Testing was performed based on the expected system behavior and functional requirement. The equivalent partition technique was applied to divide the input data into valid and invalid classes. This technique helped reduce the number of test cases while still ensuring effective test coverage. Both manual testing and automated testing using the Cypress were applied. Manual testing was used to observe system behavior directly, while Cypress automation was used to support regression testing and repeated validation. For automated testing, Cypress execute the test case and Allure was used to generate structural test execution report. Defect detection through testing. One important outcome of this testing activity was identification of real functional defect. Firstly, some invalid input were accepted by the system when they should have been rejected. Secondly, there was missing validation for certain fields, especially when user enter the number, symbol, or incorrect format. Thirdly, in some cases, the system showed inconsistent error handling, where the error message were unclear or not displayed properly. This issue may confuse the user and affect usability. Identifying this defect is important because it helps the developer to improve the system quality, strengthen input validation, and prevent potential real-world issues. Test data design and test case basis. The test case were designed based on the predefined test table. Each test case represents a specific set of test data, covering both invalid and invalid input. Valid test data confirm the correct system behavior, while invalid test data evaluate the system validation. Special attention was given to the negative testing, such as number, symbol, and blank input. This structural design makes the test case suitable for automation, allowing them to be executed repeatedly and consistently using the Cypress. Importance of the testing system artifact. This system artifact is important because it stimulates a real-world e-commerce system. It helps review validation weakness such as invalid input being accepted or inconsistent error handling. Testing this artifact improves overall software quality as defect can be identified early. In addition, it's helped build practical testing skill, allowing testers to apply testing technique, automation tools, and defect analysis in realistic environment. That's all from my part. Thank you. I will now pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Wanu Azma binti Warahmat. My metric number is 297976. In this video, I will explain about several important test cases that our group designed. And our group will focus on three test cases. First, register email. Second, account password. And third, name on card for payment. First, a register email test case. This tests whether system accepts only correct email format, which is username, domain, and extension. Example of valid emails are sarah12@gmail.com and user123@yahoo.com. For invalid emails, data include missing missing domain, missing extension, such as 123 sarah and @.com and blank. Second test case is account password. This test makes sure user create a strong password. The password must have uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special symbol, and at least 8 characters. For invalid password, include too short, no uppercase, no lowercase, no number, no symbol or blank, such as 12345, ABCDE 123, ABCDE 123, and blank. For the last test case is name on card for payment. This test check that the name only use alphabet letters. For example, a valid data is Nurul Atira full name, and for invalid example are name any name with number, symbol, punctuation or blanks, such as a Nurul or 12345 ABCD 5678.
So first of all, we will be testing the email address for user sign up. So user will be entering user123, and then the email will be user123@gmail.com. This is the valid format first, and then user will press sign up. And then after that, user will be directed to the sign up page, which means that the system is correct and accepts the valid format. And then the second data we'll be using is invalid data, which is 123 without the email format. So first of a second, and then second, user will be enter 123 in the email address field, and then the system will display an error message, which means it is correct. The system doesn't accept the invalid data. And the third one will be the blank input, and then it's also correct because it shows an error message. So the next one will be testing password for account information. So the first data we'll use is a valid data, which is mypass hashtag 89. We will test if the system accepts the password. And then the user will enter other datas. And then since the password is entered, we will now see if the system accepts the password. once user press create account, and then account is created, which means the password is valid and the system accepts it, which is a pass. So the next one will be testing password for account information. So the first data we'll use is a valid data, which is my pass hashtag 89. We will test if the system accepts a password. And then the user will enter. So second of all, we will test the invalid data for password field, which is 12345, and then the user will also enter other data in the field address. And then we will see if the password will accept the password 12345, which is a weak password. And as you can see, when user press create account, an account is created. And in my Google, it says it was a weak password. So this is a flaw. This is a security flaw because it is a weak password. So it is a defect. So second of all, we will. So now the third data is our invalid data, but it is blank. So what happens if we leave the password field blank while we fill in the other data in the fields? And then as you can see, when user press create account, there will, in the blank password field, there will be an error message, so it counts as a pass. So for the next test case is a test case for a payment product, which is name on card. So we will see if the system accepts valid and invalid and inputs in the name on card. So name on card, our data the user use is Nurul Atira, and then the user will enter the other needed necessary fields. And then the system will see if the user accept Nurul Atira as a valid name. And once user press pay product, and then user has successfully paid for the product. And then the next we will test is invalid data, which the invalid data I will be using is @Nurul, since it is not a legit and correct name. The user will also enter the same necessary information on the required fields. And then let's see if the system accepts @Nurul as a developed format. The system still accepts it, which makes it a defect. And the third invalid format we will be using if the user leaves the name on card field blank. And then the user will fill in all the and other necessary fields other than the name on card. And then, as you can see, once user press pay product, the system will display an error message, which is a pass.
Hi, my name is Nurul Atira binti Abdullah, and my metric number is 293901. I will explain about manual testing. Manual testing was conducted by executing test step manually using the Google Chrome browser. During this process, the tester actively interacted with the system interface to verify whether valid and invalid user input were handled correctly. First, for test case TA04 valid email address format, the objective was to verify whether the system accepts valid email address format during the new user sign up process. For the test step, we must navigate to https://automationexercise.com/login. For test data use, for example, sarah12@gmail.com and user123@yahoo.com. For expected result, the system should accept all valid email formats. Actual result, the system accepted all valid input and status will expected and pass. For test case TA05, invalid email address format, the objective was to ensure the system correctly rejects invalid email formats. For test step, navigate to https automationssr.com. Enter invalid email address in the new user sign up email field. Test data use, for example, 123 sarah@.com, sarah23@gmail.com. Expect the result. The system should reject invalid email format and display an appropriate error message. For actual result, the system rejected all invalid input and show an error message, and status will be pass. For test case TA11, password filled with invalid password. The objective was to verify whether the system correctly rejects invalid password input during the account information process. For test step, first navigate to https automationssr.com, sign up. Test data use 12345 ABCD 123 uppercase ABCDE 123. Expected result, the system should reject password that do not meet the required criteria and display an appropriate error message. Actual result, will system accept the invalid password input and did not display any validation error, and test status will be failed. This indicates a validation weakness, as weak passwords are allowed, which may affect account security. For test case TA12, password filled with blank input, the objective was to verify the system behavior when the password filled in is left blank. Test step also the same as TA11, and test data use is blank input. Expect the result, the system should reject the blank input and display an error message. Actual result, the system correctly rejected the blank input and display a validation message, and test status is as expected, will be passed. For payment module test case execution result, we have three here, which is TA53 until TA55. For TA53, payment name on card with valid input, the objective was to verify whether the system accept a valid cardholder name in the payment module. Test step, navigate to https automationssr.com/payment. Enter a valid name in the name on card field. Test data use, which is Nurul Atira. Expect the result, the system should successfully receive and accept the input name. Actual result will have the system accepted the name as expected result, and test data will pass. For test case TA54, payment name on card with invalid input, the objective was to check whether the system reject invalid cardholder name format, which is test data use. We'll have here 1, 2, 3, 4 ABCD 5, 6, 7, 8, which is we use uppercase, and 1, 2, 3, 4 / 5, 6, 7, 8. Expected result should reject the invalid input and display an error message, and actual result will have accepted the invalid input without displaying any error message, and test status will be failed. And lastly, for test case TA55, payment name on card with blank input was to verify system behavior when the name on card field is left blank. And for test data use, we have blank input, and expected result should reject the input and display an error message. Actual result will reject the blank input as expected, and test status will be passed. I will explain several test cases where invalid user input was accepted by system, the issue phase, and the recommended solution to improve input validation and system reliability. First, for test case 02, new user sign up name validation. For test case 02, the issue occurs during the new user sign-up process. The system currently accepts number or special characters in the name field which is considered invalid input. For example, names like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or symbol are allowed even though a valid name should contain alphabetic characters. For solution to solve this issue, the system should implement strict input validation to reject numeric only input and symbol only input. For test case 11, account information password validation, the issue is related to the password field in the account information section. The system currently accepts read or invalid password, which can compromise account security. For solution, the system should enforce strong password rules including first, at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one special character. For test case 54, payment name card validation, the issue occurs in the payment name on card field. The system allows number or symbol to be entered as the cardholder name, which is invalid and does not match real-world payment standard. For solution, the system should restrict the name on card field to alphabetic characters only.